Thank you for joining me today for this calming yoga practice. This is a gentle yoga and is great to help soothe the mind as well as de-stress the body. So begin to tune in. Notice how your body feels, maybe areas that have more tension or tightness than others. Notice your breath. Is your breath smooth or choppy, shallow or deep? Just notice. And if your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. From here, take an inhale, reach your arms out and up. And then exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Always honoring how your body feels on any given day. Find variations as you need to. Inhale, open your arms wide. Lower your right hand down beside you. Reach up through your left arm. And then come into a side bend over to your right side. And just notice how that stretch feels. You might look up, you might look straight ahead, or you might release your neck and look down. Whatever feels best. And then inhale, come back up. Lower your left hand down, reach up through your right arm, and then side bend over to your left. Breathe here. Inhale, come back up, and then lower your hands down. Come to table pose, hands and knees, and find any variations that you need to. If your knees need more support, you might open up your blanket across your mat. If your wrists need more support, find any variation, maybe Mushti Mudra, being on your knuckles with the thumbs pointing forward, or you can use your blocks under your forearms. Maybe bring in your fingertips together. Whatever feels best to you, lengthen through your spine, and then begin to find a little movement with cat-cow. Inhale, draw your heart forward, arch into your cow. Exhale, draw your belly in, look to your knees for cat. Slowly moving in cat-cow. Knees are about hip distance apart, wrists about shoulder distance, maybe a little wider. Keeping your arms straight, moving through your spine and the pelvis. So tailbone tips down as you look to your knees for cat, and your tailbone tips up as you arch into cow. Few more. Breathing through your nose, and notice how your spine feels. And then come back to center. Reach for one of your blocks, widen your knees, and sit your hips back towards your heels. Find whatever feels good for your knees, and bring the block maybe on the medium setting. You can adjust it as whatever feels good to you. Elbows closer to your knees, and we want to keep the spine fairly parallel to the mat. Coming into your child's pose with your head supported. In this variation, our arms are in closer to our body rather than extended out. It's a little more calming and soothing. Notice your breath. And then on your next inhale, lift your head. Bring yourself back up into table pose and set your block aside. Extend your right leg back behind you, staying on the ball of your right foot, and press your heel back. Starting to get a little stretch in the back of your leg. And then lift your leg up about hip height. Engage through your core. Engage the leg. And then bend your knee, hovering your knee over the mat. Start to move that knee in a circle. And then reverse direction. And then lower that knee down. Extend your left leg back. Press through the heel. Stay on the ball of your foot. Just getting into the back of the leg, the hamstrings, calf, and ankle. And then as you inhale, lift the leg up about hip height. Press through your heel. Feel your leg activate, core activate. And then bend your knee again, hovering it over the mat, and move your left knee in a circle. It might be a small circle, it might be a bigger circle. And then reverse direction. And then lower that knee down. Bring yourself all the way down onto your mat, onto your belly. Stay on your forearms with your elbows just about under your shoulders. Press into your hands and forearms as if you're trying to pull yourself forward on your mat to create a little more space in between each vertebrae. Lengthen through your neck and energetically draw your heart forward, feeling your upper back and shoulder girdle activate. You can engage your legs, pressing down into your feet. Lengthen through your neck so your ears reach away from your shoulders. And just gaze down towards the front of your mat or in between your thumbs. So we want to lengthen through the neck. Breathe here. You decide on the level of effort. And then lower down. Elbows go out. Stack your hands and rest your head on the back of your hands from across the mat. Release all effort. Relax completely and breathe here. Let your belly soften. Let your whole body soften. Just releasing and relaxing, letting go. On your next inhale, lift your head. Bring one hand and then the other under your shoulders. Push yourself back up into table pose. Pause for a moment, lengthen through your spine. And then come to a seat. And straighten your right leg out, bending your left knee. You can always sit on your blanket or place a blanket under that bent knee. Now adjust so that your thighs are more 90-degree angle and you're facing your right straight leg. You might sit up on the edge of your blanket if you would like, turning towards that straight leg, hinging just a little bit from your hips until you feel a level of stretch that works for you. Getting into the back of that right leg, getting into the hamstrings. Do your best to maintain length in your spine. Notice your breath. Few more breaths here. And then slowly make your way back up. And then bend that right leg and straighten your left leg out. Adjust your right leg in slightly and turn towards that straight leg. So your thighs are about 90-degree angle now. Hands on either side of your straight left leg. Sit up nice and tall. And then hinge from your hips to come a little deeper into this stretch. Find what works for you. So one side might be different than the other. You might have a sense that you just can't go as far on one side. That's totally normal. We all have one side that's sort of tight and the other side is tighter. Just listen to what your body is telling you today and only go as far as feels appropriate. So this pose is Janu Shirsasana, which means head to the knee pose, but really it's head beyond the knee, because we don't want to try to get our head to the knee. That causes too much flexion or rounding in the spine, and that's not what we're going for. We want to find that length in the spine and hinge from the hip crease, and you'll get that stretch in the back of that leg quite nicely and keep your back healthy. Don't want to strain the back. And then inhale, slowly come back up. And just straighten both legs out on your mat and pause for a moment. Notice sensation. So we're going to come into another pose that can be very calming and relaxing. We'll be using our blocks and a blanket. So you'll start with your blocks maybe on the low setting, which will be where your upper back is going to be. Shoulders will be in that space between the two blocks, and your head will be on the other block. So if you want, you can have the block under your head up to the medium setting. The blanket, or you can use a towel, will be used to support the lower legs. Blanket to about this shape, and rolling it from the long folded edge. Start to roll it, and this is going to be probably a meter or 3 feet long, something like that. Make sure that the blocks are in the right position. You can have the blanket just sort of over your feet for now. With your knees bent, position your upper body so you feel the edge of the block just about at your mid-back. One hand behind your head, supporting the head. Start to lay back and then use your hands to position the block under your head where it feels comfortable to you. Double check that your shoulders are above the block. Once you know the blocks are in the right spot, keep your hips in the same spot. Help yourself come up. Bring your feet together. Knees are bent. Place your blanket over your feet. And then tuck the edges of your blanket underneath. So when you open up your legs in a Baddha Konasana, bound angle, the legs are supported. So start to lay back down. Let your knees go out, arms out to the side. Let your legs relax. This should feel okay with the blanket under the lower legs. If it's not, just make any adjustments you need to. Arms maybe out to the side, palms up. Soften your shoulders. Make sure your neck and head feel comfortable. And breathe here. Noticing the rise and fall of your belly. And invite your shoulders to drip towards the earth. Make sure your arms are comfortable. Maybe palms up. And that sort of receptive gesture. Softly closing your eyes and watching your breath. Notice where you feel your breath in your body, keeping your belly soft, releasing into gravity. Letting go whatever you've been hanging on to that no longer serves you. Letting go of stress, tension, tightness. Using those soft sighs of an exhale whenever you would like. Inhaling through your nose, and then a soft sigh through gently parted lips. Letting go. Take a few more breaths here. And take another nice full inhale through your nose. And sigh it out. Let it go. And then bring your knees back up together. Bring your arms in a little closer. One hand behind your head. And on an inhale, lift your head with your hand and thoughtfully make your way back up, whatever way makes sense to you. Come to a seat and pause. Notice sensation. So set your blocks aside, and then we're going to lay down and do some supine twists. So lay down on your mat. Blanket under your head is just an option, whatever feels best to you. So initially bend your knees, feet flat on your mat. Press into your feet, shift your hips a little to the right, and let your knees just sort of go over to the left. Now, if you feel like you need some support under the legs, you could put a block either under your bottom knee or in between your legs if that feels better. Arms where they're comfortable to you, and maybe gaze slightly to your right. Legs relaxed. Make sure this feels okay for you. You can have the knees in a variety of positions. You might have the knees closer up in line with the hips or slightly below the hips, whatever feels best. Relax here. Relaxing your upper body and shoulders. Relax your spine. And on an inhale, bring your head back to neutral. If there's any props between your legs, you can remove them. And lift your top knee up and then the other. Lower your feet to the mat. Press into your feet. Lift your hips and realign your spine and then lower the hips back down. Press into your feet. Lift your hips again. Shift them just an inch or two to the left. Lift your knees up and take them over to the right of your mat. Again, you might place a blanket or another prop underneath the bottom leg, or maybe a block or blanket in between the knees, and maybe gaze softly to your left. Again, find your variation. Relax your legs, relax your back, and soften your shoulders. The upper back is mostly still on your mat, but the left shoulder might come up slightly. That's okay. Take a few more breaths here. And then on an inhale, bring your head back to neutral. Remove any props between your knees. Inhale the top leg up and then your other leg. Lower your feet, press into your feet, lift your hips, realign your spine, and then lower the hips back down. Bring your knees towards your chest, giving yourself a little hug, or just drawing your knees towards each armpit. Release the legs, and then straighten your legs out on your mat for Shavasana. So make sure you feel comfortable. Another option is to use a blanket over the hips. Sometimes that feels really nice and grounding. And then just settle in for your final resting pose. Invite your whole body to be relaxed. Relax your feet and ankles. Relax your legs. Notice your hips. And allow your hips to be heavy and soft. Relax your back. Soften your shoulders and arms. Soften your belly. Soften the area around your heart. Let your head be heavy and soften all the muscles in your face, especially around your eyes, and let go. Gently bring your awareness back to being on your mat. Notice your body. Notice your breath. And observe your mind. When you feel ready, begin to make small movements. Wiggle fingers, toes, whatever would feel good. Eventually bend one knee and then the other, and make a thoughtful transition over onto one side. Support your head with your bottom arm or a prop, and then thoughtfully press your way back up to a comfortable seat, maybe keeping your eyes closed. And with appreciation for your awareness and your focus, bring your hands together at your heart in Anjali Mudra. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this yoga practice. If you like this, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And have a beautiful rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you next time on the mat. Thank you, everyone.